So I'm going to, excuse me, end this lecture on kind of talking about religion in Rome just a little bit, which is not covered, and then just the idea of Rome and the empire and the transition from being a republic to an empire. Excuse me. So we talked a little bit. I talked a little bit about how there were Greek to Roman equivalents to some of the gods, and yet the stories were also a little bit different. So here's just an idea of a handful of gods that do have somewhat of a direct link. Zeus becomes Jupiter. Athena becomes Minerva. You can see Demeter becomes Ceres. Like the town Ceres. And then, of course, we just had Valentine's Day, Eros, as we get the word erotic, then Cupid for the Romans. So, as you look at these names, we can see you're familiar with almost all of these names, even though there are nobody that I know of that worships these gods anymore actively now. Okay, so Roman religion. What I just kind of wanted to read is just go over some of these things that are going to help us understand the transformation of Christianity under the Romans later. It's going to be a criticism that's going to come out of Protestant Christianity that the Roman Catholic Church remained too Roman. So even though Roman Christianity is going to do its best to eradicate paganism later when it becomes Christian, we haven't got to that yet, but think about some of these early pre-Christian Roman practices and just like the aesthetic feel and some of the language, and then kind of look how the evolution of the church happens. And this is not me making a critique of Catholicism as much as just kind of pointing out that Christian Orthodoxy and Catholicism have certain things that do have an appearance. So, for example, priests, Pontifex Maximus, Pontifex, right? This was an important position in the ancient Roman religion, open to patricians until 254, when a plebeian first occupied the post. Beginning with Augustus, it was subsumed into an imperial office. And so you had a priestly class, right, that wasn't Christian, that was linked to the empire. Festivals, that's also common. Emperor worship was initiated by Julius Caesar. Suetonius, who's a famous Roman historian, we're not getting to this time frame yet, but he's thinking back on, or he's writing, in the 2nd century CE, he's writing this about Julius Caesar. He said, he died in the 56th year of his age and was numbered among the gods, not only by formal decree, but also in the conviction of the common people. For at the first of the games which his heir Augustus gave in honor of his apotheosis, a comet shone for 7 successive days, rising about the 11th hour, and was believed to be the soul of Caesar, who had been taken to heaven. And this is why a star is set upon the crown of his head in his statue. This was voted that the curia in which he was slain be walled up, that the Ides of March be called the day of parricide, and that a meeting of the Senate would never be called on that day. And then he goes on to say, hardly any of his assassins survived him for more than 3 years, or died a natural death. They were all condemned, and they perished in various ways, some by shipwreck, some in battle, some took their own lives, and with the self-same dagger which they had impiously slain Caesar. Probably not true. But just to look at, the way the Romans then started to see Caesar and how he became incorporated into being deified, I just want to kind of point out something. North Korea always gets called crazy, insane North Korea because of the reverence they have for their leaders, or the way that the state and the people look at the rulers of North Korea. In reality, the idea of worshiping your leader and having them becoming like a fatherly figure isn't just something that is a part of modern Korea. And some scholars believe that Korea actually is kind of a neo-Confucianist state. The idea that the first ruler of North Korea is still actually the ruler, and he's like this, like he's become a type of god, isn't unique to North Korea. And we don't end up calling Caesar crazy all the time. I mean, what's interesting is when you see something done in the modern days, we can say, oh my gosh, this seems so what? And then you have good old Caesar here, and it's just Caesar. Anyways, I just kind of wanted to point that out. All right, so foreign religions. Sybil and Addis are just one I just wanted to kind of point out. There is this attraction to, I want you to think about the icons that you're going to see in Catholicism, the reverence for Mary and some of the saints, and then you look at some of these interesting stories that come out of Rome. Again, so just one example: Middle Eastern mystery cult. Rome officially adopts Sybil cult during the Second Punic War, if you remember reading that. Addis becomes a vegetarian spirit who was born and died each year, the son of Nana and the lover of Sybil. When he married Sangarius, Sybil drove him mad. He castrated himself and subsequently died. Yeah. A grieving Sybil brought him back to life as a fir tree. The site of Sybil's temple is where the Basilica of St. Peter now stands. So now, think about that. The site of Sybil's temple is where the Basilica of St. Peter now stands. The Islamic State, and sometimes Islam is criticized for having mosques built on Jewish temples or from the past, or doing that kind of thing. But let it be known that many Christian sites were put on top of pagan ones. There seems to be a tradition of doing that in the world, where you conquer one area and you then show the triumphantness of the new religion on top of the old. Okay, that is now done or subservient. But in any case, I also want you to see a lot of the similarities that are in these religions that are going to somehow still give a certain kind of aesthetic value, like I was saying, and flavor to Christianity later on. Hopefully I messed up and put done, so I think it's still okay. I accidentally hit done. All right. This is what I want to do. So then you had Isis and Serapis. Now, I just want to quickly and last end on them. Remember, Serapis was created by the Greek Ptolemaic dynasty in Egypt, and it fused. Here's Serapis. This is a Greek god infused with Egyptian gods and religion. And Alexandria becomes the main center of this religion that's just created by the state to fuse these two together. But it becomes very popular, and in the Roman world, it remains a popular religion until they're wiped out by Christians and killed in like the 4th century, or that when that starts to take place. Isis was also popular within the Roman world, and later you can see some photos that show Isis with her young child that look very much like the Virgin Mary holding Jesus. And so again, I'm just kind of showing you this was the Greco-Roman world mixed with Middle Eastern gods, Egyptian gods, and it's all being incorporated into Rome, and then eventually it's going to get wiped out by Christianity. Okay, so, but I like the way that your textbook ends with talking about the legacy that Rome bequeaths us. And I'm sorry, by the way, that all my transitions have been a little bit rough on this set of lectures, and I don't know why, but maybe it's just I'm a little bit mentally, my head's been hurting today. Anyways, so when you go down those legacies, I'd really like you to kind of maybe look through on 166 to 167, and the way that it addresses law and the idea of our, our legal system is really, really imprinted with Roman ideas. And I think that that's one of the most important things to look at. What I would also like to say that I think is very important is, lastly, is that this question of being a republic to an empire. And so actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to finish on this. I'm going to do one more lecture, and then we're going to talk about that.